Okay, good day to all of you. This is week 3 of the Aligned Business Accelerator, and today we're talking about your ideal client. So let me just open up here. So I've got a full screen to show you. Okay, and we will get started. So just to backtrack a little, first week we discussed mindset, which is a big key factor of business success. Second week we talked about your genius zone. So what is it that is your area of genius? There's some things that you're great at, some things that you're, pretty good at, okay, and probably not wonderful. So how can we focus your business around your genius zone? Because that's what will really set you apart. It'll align to your strengths and it'll align to your passions most definitely as well, which will keep the whole business journey sustainable for a longer period of time. And now today we're talking about your ideal client. Now, what we're going to discover today is how fundamentally important knowing who your ideal client is, and that indeed it is a process to find out who your ideal client is. So it's not something that can be found necessarily straight away. It can, but it can take some time. So we need some patience, but we need a key process to figure out how to do it. And that's what I'm going to share today, as well as why it's so important. And what you might be discovering with my videos is, yes, we talk about the what and the how of doing something, but the why is fundamental, because there's so many things that we could be doing in business to build, start, scale a business. But if we don't know why we're doing it, sometimes we either check out of the process and not do it, or we're fumbling in the dark. So I'm going to share with you why this is so important. So key topics for today is identifying who your ideal client is and what their key challenges are, so that you can attract them with ease. And there's a key point in here, the last part, so you can attract them with ease. Marketing and sales is not always easy, but the more focused that you can become about it, the more you will bring in clients with more ease. So if there isn't a focus on it, it does become quite challenging. So that's why your ideal client is so important to know. And then we'll be discovering why, obviously, as I just mentioned, why your ideal client, who they are and why they want to buy your services and how they buy. We'll also be sharing how to create your very own and powerful, unique selling point that has your ideal client making a beeline to work with you. And this is a big part of your core messaging, which we'll be touching on a little later on as the weeks go on. But without doing this step, you can't figure out what your core messaging is about. And just a heads up, like every week, this has a workbook attached to it, this module. This workbook is quite a doozy. It is a big one because it is so important. So you won't find so many activities in this video. They're all in the workbook. So by all means, watch the video first, get a good understanding of the bigger picture and what it is all about, and then spend more time going through that workbook. That's where it'll all come alive for you, this module. All right, let's reflect back again on why is it key to know who your ideal client is. Now, as we mentioned, we talked last week about your genius zone. These 3 factors help you actually create your powerful, profitable offering, which is your package of services, which is what we want to build in this Aligned Business Accelerator. That is what you are selling, right? So as we know, a business doesn't exist until you have clients who have bought something off you. So there's sales there. And in order for you to just sell something, you want it to be unique in the marketplace. So it needs to align with your genius zone. It needs to have a transformation that you help provide. And it needs to have the person buying it. So there's you, there's them, the ideal client, business owner, client, customer, and that's what you provide for them, which is a transformation When all three merge together, that is what is cultivated in creating your unique, powerful, profitable offering. So again, here's a key factor. If you had any kind of client in there, it makes creating your message to market really challenging, and it makes creating the transformation you provide quite challenging if it's not speaking to one type of ideal client. So that is a really fundamental key. So let's go in a little further on what that looks like. But before we do, let me share a story with you on the process in our first business. So as some of you know, this is my second business. In my very first business, I had a marketing and sales business with two business partners, and we worked with AFL football clubs, which if you know me well, you'll know I'm definitely not into footy. It is one of those entrepreneurial journeys which is quite a funny story, and I'll share it another time. We won't go into that today. However, the reason I want to share this story is how important it is to focus in on your ideal client. So when my business partner and I started our business, we were not focused at all on who our ideal client was. In fact, not even on our Genius Zone or what transformation we could provide. We didn't have a powerful package of services, nothing. We dived in blindly, and it took us, well, we did consulting work for a period of time, which certainly brought in revenue to keep the engines turning. But it was a lot of hard work, and it was very unfocused. And until probably about a year in, about 8 to 12 months into the business, we cracked our code of who our ideal client was. And when we figured that out and we aligned it to our Genius Zone, and we could then map out what transformation we helped them provide, that's what helped us create the powerful packages of services. And that's what helped us to work with clients and do six-figure campaigns with AFL footy clubs. Now, when we nutted that out, and it was a process that we had to go through trial and error, when we nutted that out, that's when things came alive for our business. That's when we started to make some real money, real traction, and things really kicked off. And it's the same in my current business now too. It's certainly been a journey and a process like any new business to figure out who your ideal client is every time you start a new package of services, or in my case, a new business, to go through that process. But I guess why I'm sharing that story with you is just to highlight how important it is. And if you think about each of you by now may or may not know your Genius Zone. And again, if you want help with this, we can use one of your coaching sessions to nut that out, or you can get in touch via the Facebook page as well. Once you've nutted that out, the key step then is figuring out who you want to work with, who is your ideal client, and that will then help you create this package of services, as I said. So it is incredibly powerful. Now, why, this is the biggest question I get from clients or prospects, why not just get any and every client possible, especially when you're starting out? And you know what? In the very early days, that might be the case, because that process of taking on people will help you identify your ideal client. However, let me preface it with this statement, that if you can niche down and narrow down who your ideal client is earlier on in the process, you can actually prevent yourself from working with people that you either don't want to, or you can't get the best kind of transformation for, or save yourself a lot of time, headaches, and money potentially. So yes, you may need to go through the process of working with a bunch of different people to figure it out, and that is okay. But if you can niche it down earlier on, the sooner the better. So here's why not just get any and every client. So that's the question I get, right? You're new, why not take everyone on? And my couple of answers to that is, the more focused and aligned your marketing and sales process is, the easier it is to do business, full stop. So this is what we're all about, alignment and more ease in our business, right? So you want that alignment in your marketing and sales process. So if you think about your business is about helping to provide a transformation for your clients and selling them the service that helps them do that, right? That's the core focus of your business. So the more focused and aligned that your message to market is to bring in and attract your ideal client, the easier it is to do business. Imagine this. If you see messages on Facebook or any kind of marketing out there and it confuses you, what are you likely to do? Not a lot. If it's confusing, our brains get overwhelmed and we just don't know what to do, so we usually don't do anything. But the more clear a message to market that you've seen is, the more that you're likely to take action, especially if you are that business's ideal client. So here's an exercise to do. Think about something that you've bought recently. It doesn't really matter if it's a product or service. Something that you've bought that you bought fairly quickly and it was a no-brainer of a buy. Now think about that process. Have a think about that product or service you've bought and think about the core messages that they put out there in their marketing. Do they fit who you are? Do you match their ideal client status? So usually the quicker the purchase or the more sort of our interest is piqued by a company that sells a product or service that we love, the more aligned we are as their ideal client. And you think of something that maybe you see a message, a marketing message regularly, and you've just got no interest, you're usually not the ideal client. So that's a sort of an example that you can use from your own perspective as a consumer, that how powerful that marketing message is. And the more we can focus it to who it is we want to be working with, the more that they feel like, oh my gosh, she's speaking directly about me, or oh my gosh, I definitely want this product or service. So for me, what I've bought recently is, some of you know I'm a little bit of a hippie, so there's this thing called electromagnetic field, EMF for short, and that's what gets emitted from our phones and laptops and different things, and it's said that these EMF waves are like radiation coming from these electrical devices. They say that it's not really good for our well-being or health. And yes, I'm quite a health conscious person, but it's become more and more important to me to reduce these EMFs because I'm doing so much work on my laptop and on my phone. And the more work I do, the more and I've been getting some marketing messages, surprise, surprise, the power of Google and Facebook marketing, around a laptop cover that reduces EMF. And when I read the core messages in the Facebook post, they were speaking directly to me, an entrepreneur on their computer a lot, getting work done, health conscious, preventative about their well-being, and it was stylish and sleek, and it also helped protect my laptop. And it was a no-brainer. It was something that I wanted to buy, and I bought it straight away. So that's kind of an example, right? I fit into the demographic. I fit into the problems and challenges that I had as their potential ideal client, and they wrote those core messages as though it was directly to me. So that's an example of something I've bought really quickly that aligns with what I'm looking for. And another thing is that you'll be able to build a stronger and more aligned business by niching in on one type of ideal client to start with. Now, you may think that there's many people that you'd like to work with, but when you are starting and building your business, you want to think of one ideal client to begin with. Now, one ideal client could be, at the end of the day, when you look back in a couple of months of the people you've signed on, they may have their variances and differences, but you need to stick to one when you're doing your marketing messaging and when you are designing your product, your package of services, as though it speaks to one person, but you may end up attracting a couple of different types within that category. So, for example, if you are a website designer, for example, now you're speaking specifically to women who want to start a coaching business. That's what your core messaging may be about. But in actual fact, if a client out there, a prospect, likes your messaging and what you're about, they may actually end up opting in to work with you. They may not be a coach. They could be a consultant or some other type of service provider. But you've narrowed it down to one person, and you actually end up probably finding more. It's just about the key message. We'll talk more about this in how powerful messaging is when we get to that module. But speak to one type of person. This is the power of focus, which is so important. Okay, so here's some key factors to know about your ideal client to narrow it down. So you want to look at the basic demographics, their sex, their age, their location. So for me, I actually end up working with a lot of different women, and it's very evident in this group. For example, there's different ages, all women, and there's different locations. But when I'm doing my marketing, I'm speaking to women in the 30 to 40 age bracket. Who want to start and grow their service-based business. Now, the reason that I'm narrowing it down to that is that, well, one, it's the most relatable to who I am. I'm obviously in that age bracket. I generally speak to women with a corporate background because, again, that's me as well. But no surprises. I work with women in their 20s all the way up to women in their 60s, and some of them have corporate backgrounds, some of them don't. I actually end up working with lots of different type of people, but I narrow my message down to one person. And if they actually build a know, like, and trust factor with me, and the know, like, trust factor is key. Again, we're going to be talking about this in a module later on. If they build that know, like, trust factor with me and they don't fit into that category, it's almost like it doesn't matter to them. They'll want to work with me. So the know, like, trust factor is before anyone takes any action with downloading your lead magnet or booking a discovery call with you or becoming a client of yours, they need to build what's called the know, like, trust factor. They need to know a little bit about you. They need to actually like you, and there has to be some trust built. And that's the power of your marketing. So because I'm putting my message out there on Facebook Lives, Facebook advertising, my lead magnet, my Facebook group, my business page, people start to build up that know, like, trust factor, and that's where they choose to work with me. So yes, narrow down as much as you can, but you will actually find out, just like me, that you'll work with people of all sorts of varieties. Now, I work predominantly with women, but I do have a few clients that are blokes, and they're usually people in my own network. I don't market to them, and I actually just quietly prefer working with women. I've worked with so many men in my corporate job and in my football marketing business that I'm quite happy to focus mainly on working with women. So that's the power of also having your own business. You get to choose. All right. So the next point is, what is their main problems? And what is life like for them right now? Because the present, speaking to them right now and where they're at, that's what's going to grab them. What's life like for them now? Usually if people are considering buying a service-based product, they might even not know what they want. They might not even know that they're considering coaching or a marketing service or having someone help to organise their wedding, or kinesiology, or birthing, help with birthing their baby in a more calm way. Again, I'm using examples of some of the people in this group. They might not know that they're looking for that type of service. So they're not there scrolling through Facebook, or they're not looking out for messages that say, buy this product. What will attract and ignite them to do something is that they see something which describes their current situation. and as though, oh my gosh, yes, I'm that person. So that sort of tweaks that initial interest. And if you can paint the picture of what life is like for them right now and their main problems, that will speak directly to them. Now, I've had clients in the past, and I totally understand this, I have felt this as well, who say, oh, I don't want to focus on the negative, I don't want to talk about their problems. It seems like it's negative marketing, and I'm more about optimism and being positive. And I get that, I totally do. However, generally people buy because they have some kind of problem and they want a solution for it. They want help with a solution. So you think of, everyday products that we buy. We buy food because we're hungry. We buy drinks because we're thirsty. We buy clothes because we want to be clothed. So there's problems that we'll have, and then we help to fix the solution by buying the product. Now, some of those outcomes might be positive, but it's the problem that is what generates the need to buy something more often than not. And if you can help to build that know, like, trust factor by helping them understand that you get what life is like for them right now and you understand their main problems, they're more likely to go, oh, that person, she looks like somebody that could help me with whatever I'm looking at having help with. So where are they currently at, and what does life look like and feel like for them right now? What are their main problems, challenges, what keeps them up at night? So again, for me, women who come to work with me, what keeps them up at night is they really want to start a business, but they either don't know how, or they feel fearful or overwhelmed on the process. Or maybe it's some mindset stuff about putting themselves out there. Perhaps it's some practical how-tos, but there's things stopping them, right? And what keeps them up at night is their current reality is they probably hate their corporate job, and they've probably had their aha wake-up moment in life, and they really want to make a change, and they know it's around, freedom and being their own boss, but they're just not sure how to go from current reality to desired reality. So they want the freedom, they want to be their own boss, they want to be doing work they love, they kind of get the desired reality, they just don't know how to get there. They don't know how to create the transformation. So they come and work with me. And each of your ideal clients will understand their current reality. They may have some kind of idea of their desired reality, but they need help getting there. So for a marketing person, your ideal client, more often than not, wants more leads for their business, because maybe what is keeping them up at night is cash flow problems, or what's keeping them up at night is not having big enough sales, or they're not attracting their ideal client, or whatever it is, they want more leads. But they don't know how to do that. They're not really good at marketing. They don't focus on that. They're usually better at whatever their kind of business or job is. So that's the transformation that you can help them provide. That's, one example. And thinking of, wedding planning, for example. Having been there myself recently, what keeps people up at night when they're planning their wedding is, oh my gosh, there's so much to do, there's so much detail, it's a massive event that I'm organising for 100 people, there's all these things to do, I don't know where to start, I don't have time, I'm running a business, I'm busy, etc., etc. I just want someone to help me. So current reality is too much on my plate, don't know where to start, not really good at this process because I do other things in my life. Desired reality is amazing wedding, it's all going off without a hitch, it's great. How can someone help me with that? So you can start to see current reality, desired reality. There's some kind of process, step, transformation to happen to go from current reality to desired reality. And your ideal client is often stuck on how to get there. And that's where your service comes in. So knowing the ideal client is so critical. The next thing is have a think about what your ideal client, what they think they want. What they think they want. So this is often around what they think, more around what they think they want rather than what they need. So this is a tricky one sometimes, but let's break it down a little bit. So I'm thinking of one of my one-to-one coaching clients is developing her career coaching business. And what her ideal clients think they want is, if I just get a brand new job, then I will be much happier in my life. So her ideal client is a woman in corporate who is not enjoying her career and wants to find fulfillment and happiness in her career again. So she thinks, oh, I've just got to find another job. It's that the problem is the company I'm working for, or the kind of specific job I've got in this company. I just want to jump ship. I'll get a new job. That'll make everything okay. The problem is, though, what she really needs, what her ideal client really needs, is not just to jump ship straight away. It might be the thing that she needs to do down the track, but what she really needs to do first is figure out her values, figure out what her strengths are, go through a process of figuring out actually what would her ideal career or job look like. Is she currently already in it and there's just some tweaks and changes perhaps around her mindset that need to happen, or asking for what she really wants in her job, whatever it is. So what she really needs is actually to dive a bit deeper and go through the process of figuring out her values and her strengths and the actual process that she needs to take. It's not just about jumping ship. So you can see here, what they think they want is not always what they really need. So with her, the problem is, in this case, if this woman was just to find a new job, she'd probably find herself in 6 months' time, once the novelty wears off, that she'd be in the exact same place as she is currently. I don't like my job, don't like it, hate it, because she hasn't dived deeper. So you can relate that experience to a lot of what you do. And in my case, with my one-on-one clients, what they think they want is a business model that is quite cookie cutter and like a cookie cutter approach, that if they follow all these steps, it'll all happen. The problem is, though, each person's business is quite unique, and there's areas to deep dive in on that will be different for everybody. So what they really need is a more tailored approach. And so in this case, with all of you receive coaching calls to deep dive in on things. So that's sort of an example of me. And then looking at what is their desired reality. What kind of transformation do they want? And often this is around, they want better health, they want more money, they want more satisfaction. There is something around life, relationships, money, the three big key pillars of life that they want a transformation in. Or the fourth actually is spirituality. So self-actualization, more money, more time, more health. That's actually, if you're linking in your transformation around that, that will be the key. What is their desired reality? So understanding your ideal client will help you create messages that speak directly to them, which is a big shift to what a lot of people do when they're putting their message out there to market, which is, guess, it's all about me. Now, sometimes your ideal client wants to know about you, and that's where sharing your stories is really powerful, but they want the core messaging to have them in it as well. If it's always about me and what I can do and what I'm great at, what my products are, and buy my products, they're the best, they're better than anyone's. Oh, it's so old school, that approach, and people get really sick and tired of it. They want to be included in the process. That's what really stands out. So diving deep on this ideal client is so powerful. All right, so how do you actually niche down to find your ideal client? Here's 3 questions for you. Question 1, were you your ideal client some time ago? Were you your ideal client some time ago? Forget that fill, that is part of the worksheet for you to fill, so the workbook rather. So forget about that, apologies for the error. So were you your ideal client some time ago? That was exactly the case for me pre-business, pre-jumping into my own business. If I could have worked with if I'm trying to work with those ideal clients. So they're still in their corporate jobs, they want to make a change, they're not sure how to, so helping them create that pathway by working with me. Think about you. Were you your ideal client some time ago, or is someone close to you in your family and friend network your ideal client some time ago? That will help you understand a little bit more about who they are, what their problems and challenges are, what's keeping them up at night, what their desired reality is, what they think they want, what they really need, etc. That will help you fill out that kind of question so that you can get an understanding of who it is. Question 2, have you worked with a client that you've loved in your business or in your past job? So if your business is having some similar link to the job that you used to do, then you can think about a client in your past job that you had interactions with. Was there something that you loved about working with them that you can replicate and do this process around? Or do you currently have a client that you love working with that you'd love to attract more of that ideal client? And question 3, have you got some ideal clients that you can interview? Now, they again may be friends or family, or you could put it out there to your network to do your research. Now, research is so powerful. The more data and insight that you can collect from ideal clients, the stronger and better your messaging will be. So taking some time to do this process is super powerful. And in the workbook that I've provided, there is a step-by-step process on how to go out and find people to have interviews with. So I urge you to do that. That's in the workbook. And on that note, the workbook has over a dozen pages of activities to do, which might seem like a lot, but if you can do this process sooner rather than later, it will be so much more powerful for your business. In fact, I actually urge my clients to go through this process every couple of months in their first year of their business, and then every 6 months or so in their second, third, fourth, and ongoing parts of their business, because the more we usually gain more clarity, the more months or years that we're in business, and it's a powerful process to go through. So you can hold on to this workbook like any of the modules in here and go through this as time goes on. Okay, so if you're finding this challenging, like I said with the Genius Zone, I get it. I've been through here as well. Every part of business is a process to go through, and yes, there's modules and videos and workbooks that can help you through with this, but you also have access to 3 one-on-one coaching sessions with me. So book in if you'd like to, and this workbook, as I said, really helps you dig down on who this person is. So do the workbook before you book in some time with me to focus in on this. But if you're feeling stuck, spend some time on it, and we can nut out the areas that you're feeling a little stuck with. And do the research. I'm going to talk about this more in our sessions tomorrow on how to actually go about finding people to have these interviews with. Okay, that's it for this week. I hope that you're really well. Look forward to connecting with you on our scheduled call, and take care and enjoy the process of figuring out who your ideal client is. Take care. Bye.